Honestly, I have zero regrets about this. I have said no to so many sponsorships that I feel like at the end of the day, the thing that I hang my hat on is that people trust me. And people do. I've established that trust, and that means everything to me.
Hello, and welcome to episode 24 of the Master the Media podcast. I'm your host, Amy Gorin, and I'm here with a very special guest today, Ellie Krieger. She's going to be sharing her amazing journey of being a media dietitian. So, welcome, Ellie.
Thank you, Amy. It's great to be here. I just love what you're doing.
Thank you so much. I'm honestly just so excited to have this conversation with you. I've been counting down the days. And before we dive in, I just want to share a little bit more about you. You sent over your amazing bio. So Ellie is the host and executive producer of the cooking series Ellie's Real Good Food on public television, and she's well known for her hit Food Network show Healthy Appetite. And she's a New York Times bestselling author, an IACP and two-time James Beard Foundation Award winner, author of 7 cookbooks. She's a weekly food columnist for the Washington Post, a podcast host, and the author of a weekly Substack newsletter. My goodness, that is a lot of amazing things that you're doing.
Oh my gosh, I know. I'm tired. When you're just saying that, I get tired. I need a nap.
Right? So, I asked you to be on this podcast not only because you're an amazing person, but also because, to me, you stand out as one of kind of the original media dietitians, when we're talking about health professionals and the media. So I'd love for you just to tell the audience a little bit more about yourself and how you got started with that.
Yeah, thank you. And that means so much to me. I mean, I have been doing this for quite a while. And when you mention all of the things I've been doing, what it makes me kind of see when you look at it in retrospect is how the media has changed and how you have to be so adaptable. And that's been like such a key thing of just like jumping on different ways of communicating. And it's what I really love about this, actually. But I was doing my undergrad in nutrition and clinical nutrition at Cornell. And to pay for school, well, I was always into the theater arts as a kid. I was like in an improvisational acting group in like middle school, and we would like perform in Central Park and
That
stuff.
doesn't
And
surprise me at all.
I really enjoyed, and then I was doing like TV commercials and stuff like that. And I decided at one point, I made a real choice not to pursue acting. So that was something that was a passion of mine. But then I love science and health, and I decided to pursue nutrition. And I love food. I've always loved food. So I decided to pursue nutrition, and I'm so glad I did. And I thought that I was like leaving that performing arts world behind, but it actually kind of followed me because I wound up doing modeling and TV commercials to pay for college. And to me, it was like completely separate. It was a means to an end. I took the business seriously, the modeling as a business, and I made enough money to pay for school, to pay for my master's. It was
That's
terrific, but it
incredible.
wound up being, I really realized I enjoyed being on camera and was like, felt like I was really communicating something. And my mom sent me, I credit my mom a lot and I quote her a lot. Um, she sent me a newspaper clipping of dietitians who work in the media. One of them was Carolyn O'Neill, who's
Yes.
amazing and she was working at CNN at the time. And there were like 3 dietitians profiled in this newspaper article. And I pinned it up on my cork board at college. And I was like, I'm doing that. And I just decided, yes, I'm going to do that. And I wound up getting my master's in nutrition education with a minor in journalism. I did internships with Carolyn and Liz Weiss at CNN and CBS. And CBS in New York, I did an internship. And I just started to get a sense of how this business works, how these producers are pitched. So understanding that, once I graduated from my master's, I started a private practice. I was still modeling, by the way, all this time. It wound up being a 15-year thing that actually really supported me developing myself as a media dietitian. So it's sort of amazing that that happened. But anyway, so that's essentially how I got into it. And eventually I just was like pitching different producers as an expert, and then also trying to get some writing gigs. And of course, it's like you need a job to get a job. So I didn't have any clippings or anything, any bylines. So I wound up writing this article for some runners magazine on like women and iron and women runners and iron. And I wrote it for like $100 or something. They paid me and I got a byline. I started meeting editors. So it all just sort of, it was really planting a lot of seeds and trying not to get discouraged with my just constantly pitching. And eventually it works. You know, some of those seeds eventually grow. And one was I got a call from a producer who was producing a TV show, a health, a wellness kind of magazine style show. And I wound up getting that job. And that, once I got that job, it was a NBC affiliate and it was nationally syndicated.
Wow.
And once I got that, I quit the modeling and TV. I was always sort of looking for an exit strategy of that. And yeah, I quit doing that. And then I was full-time media dietitian, bring it on.
And was it,
so
was it a food show or was it like nutrition news?
Yeah, it was really cool because it was like a magazine style show. So we did a lot on location and there was always a food and nutrition segment. There was always a some kind of activity. So I was like trying some new exercise thing, flag dancing and rock climbing and
so
polka dancing. I mean, it was so fun actually, because I got to like try all these things that I was not very good at, but it was almost part of the point that you don't have to be good at it to like just kind of have an adventure, a fitness adventure. And then one of the segments was always some type of lifestyle thing like skincare or stress reduction or sleep. And so I really loved so early on. And I loved that it was this like three-pronged approach to well-being. And that was my first TV job. And then I wound up writing my first book. And then I got the Food Network show from my first book. So it all sort of started snowballing from there.
That's incredible. So you wrote your first book and then got a Food Network show, which I feel like is everybody, like not everyone's, but that's a lot of the, the dietitians, the health professionals that I talk to who want to work in the media. That's kind of their dream of how do I make this happen for myself? So, I mean, it sounds like it's a lot of like you developing yourself professionally through the modeling, but then also a lot of knowing the right people and being in the right place at the right time.
Oh, totally. All of that, knowing people. But also when I first got the Food Network show, my mother says, again, my mom, see, my mom says, oh, you're an overnight success 10 years in the making, because she saw that for 10 years, no kidding, when I put that thing on my cork board or whatever and said, I'm going to do that, it was a 10-year span of getting my master's, of pitching, years of pitching producers and starting to build my byline for pitching editors, and then finally editors calling me and asking me to write something. So it takes time to build. And I think, and it's different now. And because back then there were all these gatekeepers, you had to go through the producers, you had to go through the editors. Now you can sort of have your own platform and get your audience on your own. There wasn't even an option for that.
Panel. I think there's so many things that you said that are just, I could go on a tangent, but I think what you said about 10 years in the making, I think that's so true. Like anyone who you see is, oh my gosh, they're overnight successful. Like, no, they've been working for at least 5 years, 7 years, 10 years on their thing, and you're just noticing it now because they're getting to that point, which I think is something that it's helpful for us all to remember, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm notoriously impatient, and I think that has served me in some ways. And made me push myself more, but it also doesn't serve me in that it's like, okay, keep doing, and I have to remind myself even now, like just keep going and being consistent and your eye on the prize, and keep your eyes and ears open because things may be shifting. You don't want to be putting your energy into something that is not really relevant anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Can you give an example of what you mean?
Well, like, I mean, just the whole transition to like digital platforms, I think has been really interesting. And I think sure, you can pitch whatever TV shows, but there aren't that many cooking TV shows anymore that do any type of educational edutainment, I call it, right? Where you're entertaining people, but you're also there, have a takeaway. That's really happening more so on digital platforms now. It's happening on public television for sure. But it's more so happening on digital platforms. And so this is the future. And so you got to wake up and see that. I mean, for the generation today, that's obvious perhaps, but I think a lot of people might not have made that shift mentally.
Oh, I mean, you're talking to someone who I literally have an undergraduate and a graduate degree in magazine print journalism, which is, I mean, not that it doesn't exist, but you, like you said, you have to pivot, right?
Yeah.
It,
Yeah. And I love that about this business. I mean, I've always felt, and especially having a degree in nutrition education, to me, I'm just all of these platforms are doing the same thing for me. I'm educating people and helping inspire change, right? And each platform has its own strength. So you're on Instagram for you do a 1 minute reel, you maybe inspire someone to go to your website and get that recipe. If they make that recipe and they like it and they share it with a friend, you've made change happen. It's so cool. But maybe they want to read more about that. Maybe the reason why I'm making that recipe is because I'm using some new kinds of root vegetables in my stew or something, some like less common, like celery root or something. And so then maybe they want to read more about that. Then I'm going to have a Substack article about the least, undervalued vegetables, Swiss chard or something, and how to use it and why. And so then they can dig deeper and in more of a long form content. So there's places for all this, and each one has its own kind of strength. And like a podcast, like we can really dig deep into things here. And I love that about this kind of conversation.
yeah. And gosh, you brought up so many interesting points, but I think one, it's okay. So when I think of your name, Ellie Krieger, I think of, okay, she's been on the Food Network. She has all these best-selling books. But then, you mentioned something interesting too, like public television, you said is the place to be right now, which you are on. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, so I executive produced the show so I did my Food Network show for 5 seasons, which was fabulous. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity there because what they really did for me, I look back on it, I'm like, that's pretty amazing. Because I was up for a couple of different shows. After my first show that I was saying, that NBC show, there was a 4 year span where there was no show opportunities. There were show opportunities, but I rejected them because they were very like diet shake type of shows, or they wanted me to be the mean nutritionist or whatever. I like did a pilot for something where I had to like be, you're killing your kids or whatever. Like, and I was so bad at that because I'm not like that,
You're not.
right? But the Food Network they said, we love your philosophy. We want you to run with it. So to have that kind of opportunity is amazing to me. So when that show was done, then one thing I realized about the Food Network is like they were finding it very hard for their platforms to dive into healthy eating. People wanted that online, but they weren't really wanting to watch it on the Food Network as much as they wish people wanted to. So then I was like, it's really public television. People go to the Food Network maybe to sit back and watch someone fry lasagna squares or something. I don't know. But like do something, sort of very that you might not do, but you want to watch, right? But I think people go to public television because they want to walk away with something. And so that's why I dove in there. And it was, shot 2 seasons of the show, but now it's really interesting because my season's coming up. The show is now on digital platforms. So when I say moving to digital, well, it's on the PBS Passport, which is their digital streaming, but it's also on Roku. I've partnered with Hungry TV, which is a digital streaming, and they have dedicated channels on Roku and Samsung and LG. And so this is really also ways to reach people that's different, didn't exist, a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have, regular television, you could still watch these shows.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I'm loving that opportunity. So, but public television, I think, is definitely dedicated to educating and entertaining. And so that's what I do. So it's was a really great match.
That's incredible. And the fact that you're producing and you're starring in it, I think a lot of us might not know exactly what it means to produce a show. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
It's hell. Don't do it. No. No, it is truly not my favorite part of it, but I realized, no, I'm glad I did it. I own the show, so that's kind of cool. I can do what I want with it. But I had to raise all the money for really executive producing it. I had a line producer that I was working with that I hired, but executive producing means you are raising the money for the show. So I was just out there hustling, raising money, pitching the show to different sponsors, to commodity boards, trying to get sponsors on board. And it was like really hard. I had to raise, essentially the show cost like $500,000 a season.
That's a
So
lot of
I did that
money.
for 2 seasons, and it was a lot. And it really became, and that's one of the reasons why I'm moving into digital, because it's like cheaper to produce things on digital as well. And I was spending all my time like selling the show. And I was happy to do that for 2 seasons, but I don't want that to be my career per se. You
Yeah.
know, I want to
mean,
keep cooking and talking about nutrition.
yeah, I mean, and I just learned something. I actually didn't know that was part of the executive producer's job.
Yeah,
So
it's essentially when you see the words executive producer, it's usually that's where the funding is coming from, and like the bigger vision for it. So yeah, it was not easy, but this is me, man. This is one of I think the secrets to success, perhaps, is like when I decide to do something, I dig my heels in, and I'm so tenacious that it's frightening.
but it pays off.
Yeah.
So you said, you talked through that funding process, like you talked to brands, you talked to commodity boards, which relates to everything else that we talk about when we're talking about being a media dietitian or a health professional in the media. So I know that you've worked with those brands and commodity boards in a traditional capacity, doing spokesperson work, but then you've also worked with them on this TV side. Can you kind of just share your experiences, and I'm sure there's a lot of helpful advice there.
I say for better or for worse, but honestly, I have zero regrets about this. I have said no to so many sponsorships that I feel like at the end of the day, the thing that I hang my hat on is that people trust me. And people do. I've established that trust, and that means everything to me. And so I have said no to so many opportunities. Maybe it's a food that I was excited about the nutrition profile, but I tasted it and I just didn't care for it. I will not represent it. And so I feel like I have probably lost a lot of money by doing that in the
I don't
course
feel
of
like
my
you're
career.
not losing money though, because this is something that, gosh, I love talking about, but it's, you know, that question comes up is like, okay, are you, everyone who works with brands, are they selling out? Are they just caving in to the temptations? But it's like the more you turn down, the more that comes your way, that's the right fit, right?
Yeah, I think so. And then also, I feel like there's a honesty. Like yes, I studied acting or whatever, but I'm not an actress. I cannot just pretend to like something. And so I feel like that authenticity that is often like a buzzword now, but it has to be there for me. I have to authentically like the thing. I have to authentically use it. The first thing I do if someone approaches me is like, I open up my cupboard. Do I have this in my cupboard already? And it might not, and it might be something like that, oh, you should eat in moderation, like honey or something, right? But that I like and that I use regularly. And then I can talk about it in that context and be real about it. Um, so yeah, so I think that part of it has been really important to me. And I really would only work with sponsors that I genuinely believe in. And I feel like they have gravitated toward me because of that, because they know that it's for real. I'm not just like, I don't come across like like paid, that I'll just stand for anything. And I think that's really important. I mean, we're professionals. That's really important.
I mean, I think that is probably the most important thing when you're doing this kind of work. Is there a partnership? I'm sure there's many partnerships that come to mind, but like, is there one in particular where you're like, this one was so fun, or it was just, great for all the different reasons?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I love working with commodity boards. Um, because they're not branded, because it's real food. So like I've worked with so many over the years. I've been lately working with Tomato Wellness, which I love working with. It's like, canned tomato products, which are so handy and economical and delicious and nutritious. So that's fun. And I just love talking about real food. And I love how working with commodity boards also supports farmers and
Yes.
the people growing and producing our food. And so I just love those types of relationships and enlightening people to what farmers in this country are doing and up against in some ways as well. So I really enjoy the most working with commodity boards, but oh my gosh, I've done so many fun brand partnerships over the years. But my favorite has to be definitely the commodity boards.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's really something special too when you, like you said, when you're not, it's not a specific brand, it's just like this type of food, pulses or blueberries or avocados.
Yum, yum, and yum. Totally. Absolutely.
So you said something earlier about having a lot of different platforms, and I know, like by watching you over the years, you started your podcast, and now you've started a Substack. And can you talk a little bit about kind of how that evolution has happened and how it feeds into the current digital space?
Yeah. Well, I think, first of all, I think in today's world, no matter what field you're in, a sense of adaptability is critical to success. It may be like the most important thing. As young people are in school studying, I feel like the sense of adaptability, I think we have to always have a feeling like of a lifelong learner, right? And
Yes.
being able to shift and being able to pivot. And more so today, and more so ever in the media, because the media always has been changing quickly, and it's changing faster than ever now. So I sort of see these new platforms like, oh, what's this? How can I be part of this? How can this help me get my message across? How can this supplement what I'm doing? And Substack in particular has been great. I've had a free newsletter for decades, and I have like 72,000 subscribers now on my free newsletter platform. And I was paying these companies to put out my newsletter. It was quite expensive because the more they base the cost on how many subscribers you have.
Oh, I
So
paid
I
one
was
of those platforms for our Master the Media listing. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it could be very expensive. But Substacks, so I was monetizing it to some degree because I would have, some sponsors maybe, but it wasn't really a focus for me. Anyway, Substack does your free one for free. So that's great. And then they encourage, their whole business model is to encourage a premium newsletter that is monetized. And that has been fabulous for me. I am loving still do my free one. It's every other week. And then I have my paid subscribers. And it's incredible because I'm digging in to topics that they ask me about. Is meat really bad for you? How much is okay? What about these, alternative meats? I keep hearing bad things about oats. What's the story here? So I can dig into these topics that are really the people ask me about, and I can dig into them because it's a paid subscribership. I can dig in, really take time and write a level of article like I might for the Washington Post or something, digging into the research and really taking hours, if not days, to write this thing. Plus I have the secret stash of recipes that aren't on my website. So my paid subscribers get access to the secret stash.
You guys hear that? You can get Ellie's secret recipes.
Yeah, I have so many recipes from on there. So, but anyway, it's wonderful to also have this one-on-one relationship with my readers, that I can be responsive to them, and there's no middleman. I don't have to pitch anything to anyone. It's literally just I'm finding the Substack just a credible place to be, and it's a great community in itself, a great community of writers.
That's amazing. How many subscribers do you have in the paid newsletter?
Close to 1,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also like the best feeling, right? When you're like, these people are paying to be in your community.
Yeah, and it's not very expensive. It's like $5 a month or whatever.
Yeah.
I do it at actually the lowest level that Substack lets you do it because I want it to be accessible to people. I'd rather have more people on, it's like unfiltered, which I really like about it.
That's incredible. I have yet to delve into Substack, but I've heard great things.
Yeah. So each of and I'm sure there'll be a new platform next week, probably.
I know they come and go. It's like Clubhouse was hot and then it wasn't. And then, yeah.
Right. Right. So you have to, I think I sit back a little bit and watch before I dive in. I'm not like necessarily an early adapter. I sit back and sort of see how things are playing out and try to understand how it could serve me before I dive in and start devoting time to it. Um, but Substacks have been great. And I love the long form. I love that people go there for more of a deep dive.
Yeah. And I mean, what about podcasting? Because I know, so my friend Natalie Rizzo, who was a master of the media coach, and she worked with Ellie probably like years ago at this point, right?
Natalie.
And I remember when you were starting your podcast and she was telling me, she was like, oh my gosh, I'm learning so much by watching Ellie produce this podcast. And she would give me like all of these lighting tips and everything. And I just remember like watching your whole evolution there. Can you talk a little bit about, I'm sure that's changed over the years too, right?
Yeah, so I did the podcast for a few years. I'm on pause with it right now, but I did 100 episodes.
Wow.
And it's so much work, right? It's so much work to like get the guests. And I wasn't doing the technical part. Like I had a partner doing the technical part, posting it and stuff. But even just the getting the guests, interviewing them, figuring out the questions to ask, all that stuff, it was so much. Everything takes so much more time than you think. But I really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed it in particular because I was having guests on that were not only food and nutrition people, like fun chefs and cookbook authors and stuff like that, but also people in other realms, people in the realm of fitness, experts in the realm of well-being, like a dermatologist or oh gosh, this woman who like who lives in Paris and talks about the Parisian joie de vivre and how we can learn from that. So like it was fun meeting these experts who were not necessarily food experts. And I was learning so much. I feel like I just love that sense of learning from the people you're talking to.
That's always been my favorite part of journalism. When, the first time I had major surgery, I pitched an article to Reader's Digest on, can we talk about what happens when you get anesthesia? And I got to talk to top doctors and ask all the questions that you wish your doctor would have the time to sit down and talk through with you. It's the coolest,
That's
right?
awesome. I love that perspective. Yeah. And I think to your point, just getting to the point of diving into things that you're dealing with personally, it gives it that personal touch. And then you really are keyed into what the questions are.
Yeah. So I have a question that is more on a personal level. So because
Uh-oh.
no, not like personal,
No,
personal, but so where I am in my life right now, I'm a new mom and I'm trying to juggle this whole career, being a media dietitian, having a kid. And I know you have been very successful at juggling all the things. And I mean, and maybe it's, who knows, like behind the scenes, maybe it's been harder than we know, but can you kind of give some insights on how can you be a woman who is, doing all of these amazing things and balance your time with your family?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, it drives me crazy that women get asked this question, but not men.
Right.
And that's kind of my point that I'm about to make. And I think one of the ways to make it happen is to have a partner who actually does 50% of the stuff.
Yes.
I mean, I think
Or
in
more.
order to, or more sometimes. And actually, so my daughter was 4 years old when I had the Food Network show. When we were shooting, I was working 6 days a week, 14-hour days. I would come home and she would just be going to bed. And my voice, I could barely talk. I was on the set all day. And I would slip into bed with her right before she went to sleep and sing her 3 songs because that's what I would have my ritual with her. And, we would shoot. It wasn't like every single day, but we would shoot in like batches of like 6-week batches. So then I would have time. But in between then I was on book tour. I was doing this. My husband was a primary caregiver. And that's how I made it work. I mean, I guess I could have hired someone or something if he weren't able to do that. But it was wonderful because he was a primary caregiver and he's, took a little time off his work so that I could do what I was doing. And that's how we made it work, honestly. And then when she got a little older, we didn't need that intensive time as much. And then I became more, we kind of took turns being the primary caregiver in a way. And that was great. And I think I remember, and I definitely got little mom guilt for that. I don't believe in mom guilt. Like if a man's not going to feel guilty for it, why am I going to feel guilty for it? And um, a woman, one of my daughter's friend's mom said, "Oh, when I was back from a trip, I had been away for like a kind of long book tour, like a 10-day book tour. And I just got back and I went to the playground with my daughter and her friend and the friend's mom. And the friend's mom said, "Oh, it's so good that you're back. She's different with you than with your husband." And I was like, first of all, if I was a guy, you wouldn't say that to me. You would say, "Oh, you're such a good provider for your family." Second of all, she's with her dad. It's not like she's with some stranger. Yeah, she's different with me than with him because we're different people. And she's always going to have a very special relationship with him because of the time they spend together. So much in her youth. So, like, it's just interesting how you get flack from other women. And I really think as women, we need to just support each other in whatever decisions we make. Maybe somebody decides to stay home and they're making that decision, and respect to them for that, and respect to the mom who's hustling and the husband taking care of things. So I would say, get a partner who's willing to like really step up.
I love that perspective. I I don't know what I was expecting as an answer, but I think that's even better because it is. And it's like you said, it always changes. Like what I knew to be true a month ago is not necessarily true anymore. And you're kind of just figuring it out. It's like, I thought I never wanted to stay home with a child. And now I'm like, I'd really, like right now we're stay-at-home parents 1 day a week, which I want more than that. And it's like, but it's busy season. So maybe in the spring, it'll become more than that. And who knows, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it does always change because the needs always change. And then maybe your parents need you as they get older, as you get old. I'm definitely in that sandwich generation kind of thing. And so life is always going to present these, personal needs, and you want to be there. That's maybe the most important thing, to be there for the people you love, right? And then also have an enriching career and keep making a living. That's critical too. So it's always a balance. And I just think sharing the labor, and then also having a community, like not being afraid to ask for help, which I'm a little guilty of being afraid to ask for help.
I'm the
So I'm
one who is
saying
like,
that,
I have no shame. And my husband, it's taken him years to be like, oh, okay. Like right now I told you I'm at my neighbor's house using their Wi-Fi. And I'm just like, you know what? You got to ask for what you need.
yeah, and people want to step up for each other. That's why we have a community, and that's what makes life beautiful. And you would do it for them, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And what are your tips on, your relationship with your partner? Because that's something where I'm still kind of like, okay, like we were never like, let's designate a monthly date night people, but now I'm kind of like, I think we should do that because it gives us that definitive time in the calendar. And there's like all of these, there's so many tips that people give you, and it's obviously not possible to follow all of them, but what's your best advice?
Yeah, no, I think anything you care about needs care. And it's easy to just go through the motions of day-to-day life and forget that your relationship with your husband, with your spouse, whatever, needs care as well, and needs to be tended to like a garden. It's going to need to grow and change. And because you're going to grow and change. And so you want to ideally do that together. You need to pay attention to each other. And it's easy to just sort of go through all the motions and not pay attention to each other. And a date night once a month is a good idea. And then maybe just try not to talk about the kids all the whole time. Like actually talk about each other and to each other and listen to each other. And I just think, I learned that the hard way. My husband and I, oh my gosh, we've been married 28 years.
Wow.
And there have been like hard times where we just didn't see each other. Like we didn't penetrate each other's like little bubble. But we always got along, but we weren't connecting. And, I feel like at one point in our marriage, we went too far in that direction, but then we were luckily able to course correct and like reconnect. But doing that on a regular basis is so important. Totally tend that garden. I guess I'm making a lot of garden references because I talked about career-wise planting the seeds. But it is true because you have to tend to the things that you care about that are important to you.
I mean, I love that. And I think it's definitely like like right now I'm like my whole world is kind of like, okay, like you're shifting. It's like maybe there's not as much time for, new friendships, but the existing, my husband and my friends and my family, like those are the relationships to nurture.
And how old is your baby now?
She's 5 months.
Oh my God. Well, and you'll find actually that you'll meet other moms and stuff. Like there's a whole new community in front of you that comes just very naturally just by starting to do social things with your child. I
That's
mean, I have so many friends that I met through Bella's, friends' moms kind of thing.
I mean, that's what my mom keeps on telling me that because my best friend, my childhood best friend, like we've been friends for 43 years, and we literally met when I was born because she's a little bit older than me.
Mhm.
So, and our moms are friends.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's in front of you too.
I love it.
So absolutely.
So we've talked about so much today. Are there any last thoughts that anyone who's wanting or curious to get into being a media dietitian, or maybe they're a physician and they want to get into media work, or any kind of health professional, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I mean, I guess just keep at it and try to find your genuine voice. And there's going to be algorithms and there are going to be arrows pointing in certain directions. And you can play around, but ultimately, I think the success comes in finding what feels genuinely you. And I feel like those are the most successful people.
I love that so much. Thank you so much, Ellie.
Thanks, Amy. And you're so amazing at being genuinely you. I love it. And
Thank
all
you.
the best with the baby and all that. So
Oh my gosh,
it's
thank
big
you so much.
changes. I had a total identity crisis when I had my daughter. I was like 38 when I had her, and I was like, whoa, where do I fit into this picture?
It's a lot. It's like, I mean, yeah, because I had my daughter at 43, and it's like you have a whole life and a whole world to kind of figure out how does this all fit in.
Yeah. And you know what? You don't have to figure it out right away, just like minute by minute, day by day, minute by minute, right?
I love that. Oh, and I should ask you, where can people find you?
Oh yeah. So my website, pretty much everything's on my website, elliekrieger.com. And I have recipes and videos and my podcast episodes. And then you can also sign up for my newsletter on there, the free one. And then if
And
you
get
want to
those secret
level up,
recipes and the level up version, right?
level up for the secret stash.
Well, thank you so much. And for everyone listening, tomorrow night we are having a live Q&A on how to work in the media as a dietitian, as a health professional. So if you'd like to join us, you can go to masterthemedia.co/QA. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.